We're joined on Insead Knowledge by Joe Saddi. You're chairman of Booz Company globally. You're also leading the consultancy in the Middle East as the managing director of the Middle East business. You've just been speaking here at the Insead Leadership Summit in the Middle East, in Abu Dhabi, talking about innovation. What are the main challenges facing the UAE at the moment in terms of being innovative?
I think the challenges in the UAE and in the Middle East in general regarding innovation are quite well known by now, and I think in today's conference we've discussed them at length. Challenges have to do with the education system, the kind of graduates that the education system produces, not only in terms of curriculum, but also in terms of being more inquisitive, being encouraged to ask the critical questions, what someone called today the why not question, why can't we do it this other way? That is one challenge. The other challenge is obviously, and it differs by country, the diversity and the increased need for inclusion in the various societies that we live in. There is also a factor that plays quite an important role in innovation, and where the Middle East lags behind is R&D funding. By some measures, R&D funding in the region is somewhere around 0.1% compared to 1.5%, globally. And so companies and governments will need in the future to invest more into R&D or provide the right incentives, environment, frameworks for that R&D. But this is, all these are linked. I mean, R&D and R&D funding is linked to the availability of higher academic institutions, research centers, and what have you.
But as we heard in the conference, R&D can be a long-term process in the pharmaceuticals industry, talking about billions of dollars, 10, 15 years to launch a product.
Again, I mean, if you look at all these challenges, whether it is the educational challenge, the diversity challenge, and their implications. I mean, what I've said earlier in the conference is this is going to take time. We are talking about a generation or two. Yes, there are certain things that will happen in the short term, thanks God, but nevertheless, that is a long-term journey. The good thing is we are starting to see some good experiments and good initiatives that are taking place. Someone in the conference today mentioned the whole educational reform initiative, both in Dubai and in Abu Dhabi. We all know about the Qatari thrust into education and higher education, and more recently we've seen the inauguration of KAUST, King Abdullah University for Science and Technology, which goes a long way towards fostering an environment where innovation happens.
Booz Co is doing a lot of work, consulting work in the Middle East. What are you telling companies right now here, and perhaps the government, in terms of looking forward, being innovative?
Well, with governments, it's about putting in place the right enablers. So we find ourselves, with various governments in the region working on education reform, for instance. Why? Because we and they believe that unless we have education modernization, we will not get to what we want. With companies, it's around not only recruiting the right talent and a more diverse source of talent, but it's also about thinking more globally. Most big companies in the world are going beyond their borders. We're starting to see that happen in the region. And so being present in other markets, accessing other consumers, being exposed to different ways of thinking, different ways of doing things, will help companies in the long term.
And what was your advice in terms of going global or going regional?
Well, if companies have both the means, but more importantly the capabilities, particularly the management capabilities, to go beyond their own borders, obviously that is something they ought to do. This, coupled with the competitive advantage of the region in certain sectors, should help them to do that. And there are many examples of this happening already.
Just with your other hat on as chairman of Booz Company, how do you see the financial crisis now? Are we through it? Or is it going to be with us for some time to come?
By way of what I do, in fact, I get exposed and get to talk to clients all over the world, but also to academicians, public sector officials. And what if I were to collate everything that I hear, and if I process what I'm hearing, I think it's too soon to declare victory. Definitely, we are in a better situation than we were as a global economy a year ago. But I think 2010 is not the year where we can yet declare victory. There are still some major uncertainties hanging on our heads, different uncertainties in different parts of the world. But I personally don't think we're through yet, and I think that's the consensus that's emerging. So I would say to be watched very carefully.
Are the uncertainties due to the fact that we're working through a lot of debt? And there are a lot of issues associated with that.
Well,
process.
there are various sources of uncertainty. There is the one that you mentioned. There is another one, which is what kind of regulations are we going to get at the end. As you know, private sector people get very nervous, not so much about the regulation, but about the uncertainty about what those regulations will be and when they will be implemented. And that that is an uncertainty. A third one is around how quickly will consumer confidence be restored. So, I mean, there are different sources of uncertainty. It's the accumulation of all those that I would say does not allow us yet to declare victory.
And presumably the consulting companies like yours have not been insulated either. You've been affected. I gather that consultancies are actually putting people out to do pro bono work. What sort of issues are you facing as a company?
This is one recession, in fact, that has basically affected everyone, obviously to varying degrees, but it has affected everyone. So when our clients are affected, yes, we could be affected. But I'm pleased to say that as far as we are concerned, we sort of did what we preached our client to do over the last 18 months. Basically, what we're telling our clients throughout the last 18 months is, yes, you have got to conserve cash, optimize your costs and clean up your balance sheet, but this is a great time to make some important strategic moves as your industries or your respective industries restructure and change fundamentally. I mean, look at what's happening, for instance, in the financial sector. Look what's happening in the automotive sector. The rules of the game have changed quite dramatically. And so for us, the last 18 months have been a great time to go on the offensive and recruit talent that otherwise was not available. A lot of very good, talented people were made available to us over the last 18 months. And just to give you a sense, we've increased over the last 18 months the size of our partnership by, I would say, 25 to 30% during a recessionary year. So we saw it as a great opportunity, not so much as a risk.
Joe Saddi, Chairman of Booz & Company, thanks for joining us on Insead.
Pleasure.